Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.
Let's talk more about that off camera, Tyler, because
There's cameras here.
can-
Where? Oh my god.
he actually
I'm so
didn't know.
nervous.
Hey, buddy.
What's up, dude?
My name is Willows,
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Willows. My name is Tyler.
and welcome back to Alcohol Beyond This Point. This is episode 94 of our little podcast here. And yeah, thanks for coming. You specifically. I'm not talking to the audience. I'm talking to you.
Okay,
Thanks for making the trek over here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was actually not that far for me today.
Did you bring me any deer sausage?
No. Fuck. I was supposed to pick that up after work today, but I came here straight instead. Yeah, I was like in River Heights, so I was most of the way here already.
Our friend who lives legitimately 45 minutes away from me, but right beside you,
Yeah.
killed a deer on the weekend
On purpose.
on purpose. Yeah, it wasn't with a car or anything. It was with a rifle. And
I hope it was on purpose with a rifle. Oops.
and whoops, ruh-roh. Dick Cheney'd it. And so I guess the people that she was with, they were like, okay, like we'll get it butchered and then split the meat. So she's like, yeah. And then she's like, yeah, I'll probably get like, 200 pounds of deer sausage or something. And she got like 500 pounds of deer sausage. And she's like,
Was it that much?
No, I don't think it was that. My hyperbole. I think
You're
she
right.
was expecting significantly less than she got.
I think she got like 50 pounds of meat. Like,
but she
finished.
was expecting like 20.
I don't know if you've like gone to the store, but
No,
50 pounds of meat, it's
Well, I don't think
It's a
one of
fair
those.
bit.
I said 500 pounds of sausage. I don't
There's
think
no
that
deer.
animal is 500
no,
pounds. Right?
there's no deer out there
Like that deer is maybe 300 pounds, like of weight.
like a big boy would be. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't know how you immediately you're like, I don't think you're right there. Well, it's like, yes, no shit, I'm not right there.
You might get that much out of a grizzly. But anyways,
I don't know if you get 500 pounds of usable meat out of a grizzly bear. I don't even think so.
Depends
Maybe
on
out
the
of
bear.
Cocaine bear.
Depends on the boy. What about what's his face? What's the big chunk? The big
Winston,
No,
Winnie the Pooh.
the fat bear contest. What do they call that guy again? Who won? Actually, I didn't get the results. Who won the fat bear contest?
Isn't it the same guy every year?
No.
I thought it was like the guy in Yellowstone won the fat bear contest, and he's single-handedly like saved the species in Yellowstone.
747. That's who won.
Named after a plane.
No, you're thinking of a different one. There's a bear that's like I can't remember the name.
There's a bear that lives in Yellowstone that's like super aggressive,
Yeah.
but it's like they've like seen it mating with like 300 different bears, and it's like single-handedly had more children than like saved the population, and it's fat as fuck, and it's like mean.
I think that might be the same one that survived getting hit by a freight train.
Oh yeah, of course. I wanted to sleep on the.
Yeah, I think I read an article about this, like this super aggressive grizzly that survived getting hit by a freight train because I think he like charged it or something, and then survived that and then fathered like 300 plus cubs. So he's really doing the most.
Just as a note, because I think it's funny. So I usually use my computer to display the camera so we can like kind of see what we're doing. But today I'm using this shitty old TV that I found in the basement just because I'm doing some equipment switchover right now. I got a new computer, so I'm like switching monitors around. So just as a placeholder, I'm using this shitty TV, and the frame rate is so bad. When Tyler was talking, he was just sitting there. Like your mouth wasn't moving because it was consistent enough, like because this is like 16 frames a second or something. Like so, it was consistent enough that it looked like you weren't doing anything. You were just sitting there.
Yeah, like the good old, like the fact that we used to play fucking video games on this stuff. I mean, to be fair, the games were kind of made for it.
Yeah, they were designed for TVs like this. I still have one of those tube TVs with the VHS player.
Yeah.
I'll whip it out every so often and play GameCube on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because that's like how you got to play old video games is on the shitty TV that they were meant to be played on.
Like Xbox 360 works on my modern flat screen.
Yeah.
Because it was just made for that aspect ratio.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah, I love that the TV can't come can't nearly even like it's not even nearly handling the resolution and frame rate of your cell phone.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah. The other thing that reminds me of, there was this I don't know if it's Ring cameras, but there's these like doorbell cameras. There's a certain brand that displays at the perfect frame rate. So hummingbirds.
Oh, it's like security cameras, yeah.
Yeah, hummingbirds don't look like they're not moving their wings.
Yeah.
And they're just like
Yeah.
is moving around like this. It's so I saw a compilation of videos like that, and it's the funniest thing in the world because they're just like hovering. It looks like
Yeah, not flapping.
yeah. You know they flap their wings like 500 times a second.
Is this hyperbole?
No, I swear it sounds fake when you Google how fast a hummingbird's
Okay, well I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do
fly.
it.
Thank
Hummingbird wing beat.
you. Wing beat
Wing beats per minute. Yep.
per second.
70 per second.
70 per second.
4,000 a minute.
How do you even move something 70 times in 1 second? Yep. Well, that's like 60 FPS is like smooth HD video.
Yeah, that's why you can't fucking. That's why you can't see their wings.
And they're moving faster than that?
Yeah.
How's that even possible?
All things are possible with God.
No, it's first of all, under God all things are possible, so jot that down.
Under Soviet onion. No, I'm just gonna stop here.
Okay.
The joke's already played out before I started.
That is true. So what's going on in the world of business? This is a business podcast after all.
So the Soviet onion.
I feel like the world I'll call back on this in a year. How much farther do you think the S&P 500 is going to fall?
Oh fuck. I don't even know where it's at right now. Honestly, I haven't been tracking it super close. I off the top of my head, I only really know I think the Dow.
Of course you do.
Yeah, the Dow's at 34, which was fucking incredible.
Yeah. Well,
like over 30 was like a big goal, and then I remember when it fell when the pandemic hit, like it was right. I think it was right below 30, and it just like free fell. But now it's like higher than it was before that started. So I don't know. Like it's.
Yeah, I think like I've been reading a lot of charts that are comparing this to the 2008 crash, and it's almost eerily similar.
Right.
How close everything is. And if those charts are correct, or any indication at least, we still have another like 20-30% to fall before it levels out.
And on the year, how far are we down?
10%.
10% on the year.
I think so.
Now I want.
He's not trusting a single one of my numbers today.
No, I just want to see it. I
know
mean, this is easily verifiable.
Yeah, I know my portfolio's down. Just go SPY ticker.
Yeah,
and then just Google, and then just hit one.
Then
year.
I'll look at year to date.
Yeah.
From high was 4080. No. What? That doesn't make sense. I'm looking. It says the high was 4080, but on the graph it shows it higher than that. Anyways, in the year to date, high was 4080, and the low was 39. No, that can't be right. Okay. Anyways, negative 14.94 year to date.
And what did I say? 10.
10. Yeah.
So that was
so it's almost
similar.
50% worse than that.
But then you look at like, Amazon's down 80%, like Facebook or Meta's down.
Yeah, because S&P is
like,
heavily tech.
biased. Well, it's literally like tech and petroleum, and that's 150 out of the 500 companies.
It would be 40 points down if it didn't have petroleum energy sector in there.
Yeah, I mean Apple's a big chunk of the S&P 500 as well.
Fair.
Like by market cap, and they're only down like 3% on the year.
Right.
You see this whole Elon Musk Tim Cook beef?
I've seen headlines. I haven't read into it.
They've been tweeting at each other.
Yeah, like update me on that because I've seen the headlines or like the talk about the talk.
Yeah, there was a rumor that Apple would be pulling Twitter from the App Store.
Right.
If
But they've already pulled their sponsorship money from the platform.
yeah, so there was rumor they would be pulling it from the unless like
Or
Elon
advertising money.
tightens up the hate speech law.
Right.
And so Elon tweeted,
And banning people that criticize Elon and unbanning neo-fascists.
yeah, so Elon tweeted something about them not being like, freedom of speech or whatever, and then Apple responded to it, or Tim Apple responded to it, and then they got in like a whole Twitter argument.
Yeah.
And then it ended with Elon being like, if you remove Twitter from the App Store, I'm making my own phone.
Oh.
Or like Tesla's going to manufacture cell phones now.
They already announced the Tesla phone like months ago.
Yeah. So, well, but yeah. So, and then, but apparently, I didn't know if it was a joke or not, but I saw today Elon tweeted he was like at Apple headquarters and he's like, thanks Tim Cook for the tour or something. So maybe they talked about it, but like that also could be Elon just trolling.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, like if Elon makes a phone, it'll be built either by Google or by Foxconn. Like,
well, Google would probably chomp at the bit to have another Apple competitor, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure.
another
Well, and
flagship.
then
yeah.
Apple's in really bad press right now. You see this whole
with the
China
Foxconn factory. Yeah.
Is that what that's okay? Yeah. So,
Yeah, Foxconn is the company that manufactures iPhones.
And in China right now, they're having protests at that factory, and like
because
40
people-
people are dead, and like
people have been locked down inside the factory for like 80 days.
and they're saying it's a COVID measure.
Yeah, they're not allowed to leave the
Yeah.
the closed loop of the plant. And yeah, they're not allowed to leave. So there was like a mass jailbreak where like a bunch of people just like ran for the fence. And
Yeah,
then
I saw
kinda-
videos of
and-
them smashing fucking fences on cops' heads and shit. and,
Yeah,
like,
so they came back and there's a big protest, and they're like we're fucking prisoners here.
yeah.
And yeah, and then Apple is helping the
Government
crack down.
crack down on protesters. Yeah. I mean, and then did you see Justin Trudeau tweeted that every citizen of China should have the right to protest?
Took me a second.
Yeah. And,
Oh my god, I love it. Love it.
yeah. So we're not conservatives, but we're not liberals either. So
Yeah, fuck the liberals.
like Trudeau still has the bank accounts frozen of some of these trucker protesters.
Yeah, it's like read that back again. Please.
Yeah, and then he's like, we support our Chinese brothers to it's just they're doing it right in front of us.
Yeah.
And no one's doing anything. What's the other thing I saw today? Oh, the Balenciaga thing. Did you see this?
No.
So this is a business topic. This is about they released an ad that was basically a naked child.
Oh, kind of like Nirvana.
Wow, actually. Yeah, it was actually the same kid.
He's like 40 now.
Do you know that kid sued
Yeah,
when he was like 40?
that's why I know
Until I
about
get
it.
money.
Honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, but they were basically advertising clothes or whatever, and they were sexualizing children in the ad.
Oh, I think I saw a picture of a kid that was holding a teddy bear that was covered in like Dom leather and chains.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're basically sexualizing a kid. And then like in that same, I don't know how fashion does it, in that same like release, that line,
Yeah.
there was a bunch of like stuff that like looked like devil stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of like there's a lot of takes from different sides of the aisle. So like the Marjorie Taylor Greene types are like, look at these Satanists. Like,
yeah, look at the fucking
you know,
globalists going at it.
worshiping right in front of us, whatever. But then I saw some interesting commentators talk about like nobody's talking about Kanye's decision to cut ties with Balenciaga now.
Right.
Like, what did he know that we didn't know, kind of thing. Like, I don't know if I believe that, but like,
I don't believe that
I
for
just-
a second, especially considering all the shit that's coming out about considering his like conduct at Adidas and how much of a fucking monster he was there.
yeah, I'm split on Kanye. I kind of like, I just like that he exists. I've been saying this a lot recently. Like, when I hate a movie character, I'm not like they should take them out of the movie,
Right.
right? But I hate a movie character. I'm like, oh, well, they've written such good writing that I actually am feeling emotion for something that doesn't exist.
Right.
I think that's pretty cool. And that's how I feel about Donald Trump and Andrew Tate and Kanye West and
I mean, which is fine if they're
ISIS,
not doing...
honestly.
I'm gonna say which is fine to an extent, but it's like,
Yeah, I mean,
ISIS. I mean, we've literally spent our tax dollars creating ISIS, so I guess you gotta appreciate them.
yeah. If taxation isn't theft, then ISIS is fine.
Fucking soundbite that shit.
Did you hear Dave?
Absolutely a through line in that reasoning, and keep listening to find out why.
Dave Chappelle said, when it's Italians, it's a mafia. When it's black people, it's a gang. But when it's Jews, it's a coincidence.
That's funny.
He said that on Saturday Night Live the other day.
Oh, that rant that he did?
Oh, man, it was so good. He was talking about Kanye, and then he
Yeah.
was also talking about the stuff he was saying about Trump. I thought was fascinating. He's
Yeah.
like, he was basically saying like, the fact that liberals don't believe it can happen again is part of the reason why it's going to happen again.
Right.
And someone worse than him is going to come.
Absolutely.
Because they don't get what he's doing. Like,
A focused and intentional Trump with like PR skills and self-control and discipline is an extremely dangerous person, which is everything that DeSantis is.
yeah. Well, and because like
He's Trump without the bullshit.
Hillary and Biden all want to pretend to be a man of the people.
Yeah.
But they're not. But Trump, like the line that Dave Chappelle said, like Trump's like the system, or like he's like the system is rigged,
And I know because
I use it.
Yeah.
And then Hillary, what is she supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like her response had, because he's like, your friends use it too. And so do I.
And so
it's
do you.
fucking broken. And then now they have to go on the defensive and say, well, no, it's not rigged, but everyone knows it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's where she lost right there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, she's just unlikable human being.
And the only reason why he lost to Biden, I think, was not the Jan 6 thing, but like leading up to that, where it was like the Proud Boys and whatever, and like, because obviously Jan 6 happened afterwards. But like, I think if it hadn't gotten as violent in the United States as it had,
I think Trump lost for a lot of reasons. I honestly haven't really thought about his slide, but like his popularity was like record low in terms of context of all presidents in history.
but now so is Biden's.
No, it's not as low.
Okay, well, but it's like
Like Biden's is low,
Am
but
I-
Trump's was like a lot lower.
am I deluded to think that maybe the leader of a country should be like liked, like,
Yes.
by a majority, like
No, it's never by. Well, it's rarely by a majority. Like Bush was like by had a
yeah,
over 50 popularity
Yeah.
rating. Biden had an over 50% popularity rating for a while,
yeah,
and then it dropped when inflation hit.
yeah.
And there's like, fun fact: have you guys noticed that gas prices have come down
Right after the midterms.
right after the midterms? Anyways, like there's, I think those popularity ratings. I mean, there's not a ton of meaning to them. But I don't know. I don't want to get into Trump 2019 politics, but he was a fucking train wreck. Like he alienated a lot
Yeah.
of people, and the only things that he did right really only took effect later on. Like I think the only thing Trump really accomplished was the Supreme Court, packing the Supreme Court with the favorable judges. He did that extremely well, but I mean that wasn't to his credit. It was just like luck of the draw and timing. And I think everything else that he did pretty much didn't actually follow through within his term, like building the wall, increasing policing, the military budget, all that stuff actually all got finished and or boosted under Biden.
Well, ironically,
Like there's more kids in cages than there ever was under Trump. More of the border wall got built under Biden than was built under Trump. Like under Trump, he was too much of a fucking mess to get the wall built. It was just people that were running his campaign just stole millions of dollars from donors to like buy themselves yachts, and then got caught because they talked about it on text messages. Like that's why he wasn't fucking successful. It's because he was just like, I don't know, he just had a bunch of assholes around him. But
so
like I don't know, there's a lot of things to hate about the guy, but I think him coming back. I don't think I've talked to you about this. I heard this from a Republican pundit who said he was convinced. He's like, Trump running or announcing that he's running for office has guaranteed that the Republicans will lose the next election. And I was like, huh, that's not something that I had heard. So whatever clicked into the video, watched the whole thing. And the way that he said it is, if Trump runs, he's going to push the centrists towards the left, towards Biden, because he's a polarizing figure, and he's kind of lost the moderates.
Yeah.
Because he's like... Yeah,
he's getting worse.
Yeah,
he's getting farther right.
Yeah, he's getting farther right, and it's like... And I'm not going to bore you with the details, but like he's just like explicitly fascist now, and he's just like a neocon. He's, religious bigot. He's all these things, right? And he's a billionaire. Like, he's alienating all the moderates that really, really liked him. And the only people that show up to make Trump win is like the Trump base. And the Trump base was never going to vote for a Democrat anyways. But the Trump base is such a big part of his power, such a big part of the Republican Party power, that when the Trump base shows up, sometimes they win. But it's been... because you're losing the center, it's just the Trump base showing up. And that center is, you're losing that support. So if Trump wins, that support gets lost to the left. So if he wins the primary, he loses because he's too far right and he loses the middle. And if DeSantis wins in the primary, you lose the Trump base.
Is DeSantis going to run in the primary?
Yeah. It'll be Trump and DeSantis. That'll be the I'm fucking here for it. Those will be some amazing debates.
Yeah, definitely.
But like Trump versus DeSantis, if DeSantis wins the primary, you're going to lose the Trump base because he directly defeated their hero.
Yeah.
And I don't really see Trump endorsing DeSantis. Like, because typically that's what happens, is when the primary loses, then the loser endorses the winner, and then you combine the camps.
Yeah,
I don't
but
see
Trump's not going to do it.
Yeah, I don't see Trump doing that. So then you lose the Trump base, and then they don't get a high enough turnout to beat Democrats. So it's a lose-lose. And this was from a Republican. I was like, that's interesting, because I had definitely called it in the other direction, but now I'm on the fence.
We'll talk more about this when the election comes up.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's fucking relevant now because he just announced, and also here's a business topic. I mean, not that it's new, we've discussed this one already, but they just got his tax returns at the IRS in Congress. So you're going to start seeing headlines about that in the next, well, I guess by the time this comes out, you'll be seeing headlines, but in the next few days. So that'll be fun.
That will be fun. I don't get the whole tax return thing. Why do people care?
For Trump specifically, because it's more likely than not going to reveal a bunch of financial crimes.
So?
Such certain crimes would make him ineligible to run for president.
I don't know about this whole financial crimes thing.
Well, on that note,
TV's not having fun. On that note, we're going to transfer here into
the screen. The screen just randomly did that like colorful bar thing where it's like
the part of the show that we call shot caller, the part of the show where you, the audience, can part of the show, the shot that we take. Today's shot, we're back to the classic. They discontinued this in our province, so we've been like buying up the bottles.
Yep.
You know it, you love it. If you're a longtime listener to this podcast, you know this fucking drink. It's mango habanero, Tennessee Mountain Made, Old Smoky whiskey, and it's awful. Or great.
It's great. I think it's great.
Cheers.
Delicious.
That's better than I remember.
Yeah, because we've been shooting fucking shitty whiskey that just straight up burns. Yeah, no, this is better. This is better than that Dylan's, for sure. Also lower percentage, but...
It's the worst, some of the worst graphic design I've ever seen on a bottle. I work in the industry.
Really?
And it's some of the worst graphic design. And I actually met the rep for Canada. And I told her, it's the worst. I'm like, dude, me and on my podcast, we drink like a bottle of this a week, but your graphic design sucks. And she's like, yeah, we get that a lot. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess like I kind of wanted to go down the rabbit hole with the Balenciaga thing and then we got sidetracked with crazy, insane people. But the whole like I'm usually in the camp of like all press is good press,
Right.
right? And like surely a company that big couldn't something like that couldn't get through without 900 people looking at it, right?
Yeah, but they're being edgy, right? But you got to remember, it goes through 900 people, but most of those people are,
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
well, if not drinking the Kool-Aid, trying to just, especially when you're like in the fashion industry, it's a very top-down dominance, right? So that if the people at the top say it's a good idea,
Yeah, I've seen the double.
you're gonna right, you're gonna yes man, you're gonna yes and everything, right? That's kind of how I see like when you see really shit ideas come through, it's like, oh.
But like, do they make more money in this from people hate tweeting them than they lose from people protesting them?
I mean, who's to say? Like Joe Rogan, when that video came out of him saying the N-word like 100 times, his subscribership jumped
Yeah.
like by a third.
Yeah.
So who's to say?
So what you're saying is we should say the N-word.
I'm saying it might get us might get us nothing. Probably nothing, actually.
Probably
No,
not.
it get us the wrong audience, and then they'll listen to it and realize that they're the kind of people we hate. So
Oh.
at least I hate. I don't know about you.
Was that just a veiled calling me a Nazi?
No,
Thanks, Tyler.
sorry. I'm just like skimming over the Balenciaga stuff. Yeah, this is like running a timeline of Balenciaga's press releases and stuff. Like, I don't know if it's kind of like washing out.
This was like a couple days ago.
Yeah. Okay, that's People Magazine. 1 day ago, TMZ 3 days ago, Kim Kardashian declined Balenciaga campaign offer after BDSM child ad release.
What a fucking headline, eh?
Yeah. Thanks, Kim K. Who,
Um,
like the Klan, likes to put K in front of everything.
yeah. Well, I also saw there was some controversy because she took like days to think about it. She like tweeted that she's like, I can't make a decision yet, and it's like had to talk to her people.
I hate that when people are like, why can't you make an emotional decision like us? It's like, you only have billions on the line. Like, why can't you just make an emotional decision about this?
Was it really trying to be BDSM?
Yeah,
Like
I think so.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Okay, let me see. Balenciaga, BDSM.
Do you like Balenciaga as a brand?
I am completely ignorant of anything that they make.
Me too.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't have any attachment to that level of fashion.
Me neither. I don't really like any high fashion brands except like suit brands and stuff. Like,
Right.
I love me a Tom Ford, but I feel like when you pay like $2,000 for a suit, you're getting $2,000 of quality from the suit.
Yeah.
But when you're buying a Gucci T-shirt, you're not getting a $600 T-shirt, right? You know what I
No,
mean?
you're getting a
Okay, this isn't even
$60
bad.
You're getting a $60 T-shirt.
The kid's not sexualized. It's this teddy bear.
Is sexualized.
Kind of. They're wearing like a leather harness. I don't even think this is bad. Okay, this one on the right looks like Hot Topic,
Right?
which is
It's like Hot Topic edgy Build-A-Bear.
but like Hot Topic is marketed to teenagers.
Right.
I guess, and to be fair, this is like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
But okay, I thought the way I read the headline was the children were in the leather thing.
Right. So that's
How I read the headline.
right. So now you can see why Kim K would be more like, okay, well let's talk about this. Let's evaluate this.
Yeah. Okay. The way people were fucking tweeting it was like Balenciaga just posted child pornography.
Right.
That's how I
Welcome
started.
to the Twitter sphere, bitch.
That's how I started this conversation.
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
I'm like they posted naked children because that's what it looked like from
See,
the headlines.
That's
I read.
great. That's the game of telephone and PR, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it's like this slight turns into. Oh, it's also like, oh, this guy said this and now he's a Nazi, or this guy
Yeah.
said that and now he's a communist or a
Hey
socialist.
Tyler, you know what it's called? Cancel culture.
No, it's beyond that. It's like you don't even need to be canceling. It's just like cancel culture is like going after people to like end their careers. This is just fucking bad faith communication, right?
Yeah, when you're actively saying something you know is false to
Right, because like the original
further your agenda.
the original story comes out, and then the reaction comes out, and then like
Well, because a lot of people like don't read the news; they just like listen to Philip DeFranco or Hassan Piker
Right.
tell them the news.
that's what
right?
I was just gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't know this already, 90% of journalism is just reacting to the actual journalism.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Well, in journalism in quotations, I would say.
No, I'm saying as an actual discipline, as an idea, because like same thing when you're, for example, I'm learning about the world of academia right now because I'm like proofreading my girlfriend's like essays and stuff that she's like research papers that she's writing for a master's degree, and I'm realizing that like, oh, research papers and journals and articles and stuff that come out are all almost exclusively based on other information researched by other people. Almost everything that you read is based on something else. A very small amount of it is actually original data,
Yeah.
because original data is fucking boring and usually tells such a small focused story about such a small issue that nobody ever asked the question for, except for this one guy, that like it's not relevant to anybody. So like by the time you hear about it, it's on like the 4th or 5th meta level of data published on the data. So it's like somebody publishes raw data, and then somebody writes about that data in comparison to some other data, and then somebody else covers a meta-analysis of like 500 of those things, and then someone else covers an analysis of those 500 things compared to the other 500 things that were previously, relevant things, and then a journalist comes in and talks about that guy who's talking about the thing that's talking about the thing that's talking about the thing. So anyways, there's no original data, and journalism is kind of, that doesn't make academia irrelevant. It just like it's the process of making data digestible. And same thing with like news. It's like there's what happened, and then there's the context and the story of what happened, and then there's the what to think about the context of the story that happened. And it's the what to think about phase is when everything gets fucked.
So I'm going to
And then it's the what to think about, which is like your tabloids.
Every episode I piss off another group of people until we have no people that like us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to piss off journalists now. Okay.
Because journalists listen to us for hard cutting.
I get called from journalists all the time. I don't know about you.
That's fair.
I get like once every like 3 months, I'll get called for a quote for a small business issue.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love you, journalists. Keep doing stories about me. Anyway, but
And keep doing free ads.
comma. I have a lot of respect for investigative journalists that break stories.
Right. Original content.
That go out and break a story and do actual. That's what I would call journalism.
Like Al Jazeera Investigates is a great example.
Old Vice
Right.
was great, because now new Vice is shit. But like old Vice, like, did you see that guy that joined the KKK? This like guy from Vice like joined the KKK and was like with them for like months, and it's like Jesus Christ, like shit like that. Or it's like
Vice and Cracked. Cracked used to be one of them.
Because Vice is now just like pandering to liberals,
Right.
But they used to like do some shit. There was a Vice journalist in Canada.
I think there's still some good Vice. It just, you gotta realize there's like the money making machine of Vice, and then there's the journalistic arm of it.
There is a Vice.
And one pays for the other.
There was a Vice journalist in Canada that is in jail still. What year is it? Yeah, he's in jail still because he interviewed like ISIS leaders.
Oh.
He was in fucking Afghanistan with these guys.
Yeah.
And like blurred their face. The Canadian government, I think Trudeau's government, was like, you need to tell us how you found these people.
Right.
And he said no.
Right.
They said, you're getting 10 years in prison if you tell us no, expecting him to fold. And he told them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Told like CSIS to go fuck themselves. And he like went to jail.
Based.
Just stood to his guns and said, you like, that is literally
the opposite of
the opposite of free press. I am not giving up my sources. And he went to jail.
Which should be illegal.
Oh, fuck off.
Like,
he didn't do any. What did this man do?
He prevented them from killing terrorists.
Well, yeah. They said it was national security.
Right, exactly. Like, this is the fucking Patriot Act shit happening.
But this happened in Canada.
But I'm saying
like
Canada has an equivalence to the Patriot
yeah, but
Act,
it's like this
but
is
where
like,
it overrides all of your rights.
you don't think about this shit. Remember when Trudeau arrested the daughter of a Huawei fucking guy
Yeah, because the U.S. told them to.
and then just held her illegally?
Yeah.
Like, what fucking rights do you have?
Yeah.
As I do every episode, I quote George Carlin, rights aren't rights if someone can just take them away.
Right.
They're privileges.
Yeah.
You have a bill of temporary privileges in this country.
Which is what Canada has a Bill of Rights and Freedoms, which we have rights, and I think I've ranted about this before, but in the U.S. Constitution and all of the quote-unquote rights that they have, with the exception of like the right to bear arms, and I think the right of free speech and the right of assembly,
yeah,
all the rest of them are negatives, which
Yeah.
basically means that the burden of innocence is on the accused,
yeah,
not the other way around. It's
Yeah.
not an assumed right. It's you have to prove that you are innocent of doing it, or that you have to prove that you meet
Yeah,
the
yeah.
negative, right?
yeah.
And that's a major distinction.
But like people always say, like, especially liberals and NDP type people, they're always saying like Canada is so free and conservatives want to take the freedom away, right?
Yeah.
Not recognizing that the NDP, which is our far left party, which is way farther left than the Democrats, they want
Miles left. Yeah.
They want like socialized. Well, we already have socialized medicine, but they want like public medicine, public dental care, public daycare.
All drugs are free, glasses are free, eye care is free.
$15 minimum wage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what that party does. And they're still capitalists, right? They still want to fight in this capitalist hierarchy.
Yeah.
And they still want to put you in jail if you are a journalist.
Yeah.
Well, because
It's authoritarian capitalism with a social safety net.
exactly. And yeah, the provincial government in British Columbia, when they were invading Wet'suwet'en, the reserve,
Sovereign land.
they were putting a pipeline through sovereign land
illegally.
And when journalists showed up to record it, they arrested the journalists. And I think a couple of them beat the shit out of them with like nightsticks.
Yeah, like SWAT team showed up and fucked them up.
And that was
and they're like, press, and they're like,
Yeah.
fuck your press badge, crack
Yeah.
them in the skull.
yes, which is a war crime.
Which is
fun
a war
fact.
crime,
Yeah,
believe it or not.
press
yeah.
and doctors you can't attack anywhere.
Well, unless they are fucking around, then.
No, but that's a whole UN convention.
But all the caveats.
That's a whole UN convention.
No,
right?
I know
Like,
it's
yeah,
and
doctors
police and
press.
police break war
But
crime
then-
laws constantly.
Well, yeah, no shit. But then that's the double-edged sword of that is that journalists. The first rule of journalism is you don't interfere.
Right.
You're reporting what happened. So that's like people always remember that the National Geographic picture that won the award where the vulture was waiting for the baby to die.
Yeah.
Right. That was like this big famous. I'll put it on the screen if you're watching the YouTube video version, but you've probably seen it before.
It pushed the boundaries of those ethics.
This child, like young, like 6-month-old baby, is dying of malnutrition, and there's a vulture waiting to eat it when it dies. And the guy took a picture of this, and it won like the National Geographic's like picture of the year or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, there was a huge controversy at the time. This is kind of before my time, but I have read about it.
Yeah.
That there was a huge controversy at the time. It's like, fucking take the kid and give it water, right?
Yeah.
Like get it out of there. And that was kind of the defense, as far as I know, was like, that's rule number 1 of journalism. You don't interfere.
Yeah.
You are there to document. You're not part of the, and a lot of these people are like, it hurts like my soul.
Yeah.
But you can't, like, that's because as soon as you break that wall, now all of a sudden
You're no
you
longer...
go from documenting terrorists to aiding and abetting terrorists, right? So that's why it's like you can be a journalist, but don't get involved.
You
right?
can't, because then you're no longer a journalist.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the whole thing with the UN things is like, as long as they're not in, like, if the doctor comes to take someone away, you have to let them do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that even in World War II, like they had doctors come to they would give you an hour to go collect your dead and your dying
Yeah.
and bring them back, and they wouldn't shoot at you.
Yeah.
Because it was fair play. Right?
Yeah, they're like, I need a fucking smoke break. Like, go ahead.
And it's like, you need that too, right? And then the whole, like, war, I guess, is a kind of a weird situation.
It's like those legendary stories of World War. Was it 1 or 2? With the foxholes and at Christmas time.
Yeah, that
when
was
they just had a ceasefire.
That was World War One, because that's why we have the ceasefire was at 11/11, and that's why we have Remembrance Day.
No, I'm talking about just like it at Christmas. It was just like something that happened on the back. It wasn't anything official, but the soldiers from both sides,
they played like soccer.
Just like didn't fight. Well, it's fucking wintertime. I don't think they played soccer. I think they like lit a fire, had food.
I think they definitely did.
Like had drinks, sang songs and stuff like that, and like intermingled with both sides, and then like went back to their foxholes, and then proceeded to kill each other next day.
And that's sad, because it's like a lot of these people are just paid to, or you get conscripted. It's like
there's a lot of fucked up shit about war, and all of it is true.
You either get killed by your government for not going, or you get killed by the German for going,
watch All Quiet on the Western Front, please.
The new one?
Yeah, I
watched the old one. It was good.
The new one's great because it really hits hard of like I watched the movie. It's really long. It's over 2 hours, and I shouldn't say it's really long, but it's long.
I was gonna say, I'm a movie guy. Like that's not. I'm like, that's not very long.
Really long is like what, 3-4 hours?
Godfather 1's I think 4 hours.
Right.
Like Scarface is like 3:45. Like
So it's long, but
Once Upon a Time in America is like 5 hours and 45 minutes, and I didn't know that going into it.
Yeah.
And at like 3 a.m, I'm like, how much fucking longer is in this movie? I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Netflix and chilling with a girl, and she's just like,
that's a fucking fantastic movie. It's the guy that did.
You can have round 2 before the movie's over.
It's the guy that did all those westerns with Clint Eastwood. He did this movie called Once Upon a Time in America with Robert De Niro, but it's like, it may be like, it's like there's like full on rape scenes and stuff, and it's like this is like
Pulp Fiction shit.
Worse. Well, yeah, but this is like, it's like, oh, this is making me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
which is good filmmaking. I like that in film, because it like the fact that it's making me uncomfortable is like, this is important. It happens with like over like 80 years or whatever the movie happens, and so it's like children, and then it's like this group of friends. It's great. It's like a kind of, you could say it's a gangster movie, but it's like it's great. But when I started it, I didn't look at the runtime, and then it fucking like in the middle of the night, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like how are we not? What's going on? And
like not even at halfway to the climax.
It's like nearly a 6-hour movie. I'm like, perfect. But I like, what's funny is like people have like, they're like 2-hour movie, can't do that, and then they watch at like
that's what I was gonna say.
8-hour
and
television
then you
show.
binge 5 parts of 1 hour, like 1 hour part each, and that's no problem.
Or take it even smaller. You be on TikTok for 4 hours.
Right. Of 10-second videos.
Of 10-second videos.
Which is like, insane to think about.
It's like, but I've done that. I've like laid in bed fucking like hung over on TikTok
like, think
for
about,
literally all day.
Think about production budget of like, okay, we need to make 4 hours worth of 10-second videos or a 4-hour movie. Which is a greater undertaking? And each of those videos is like, think about how different the videos are, like different setting, different people, different energy, different music, pace, timing, story. All these things change drastically, completely for every video. Try to sit down and produce 4 hours worth of that versus just a movie with a single track storyline.
Yeah.
I feel like the TikTok production would be more expensive.
Have you been to a movie since COVID?
Theater?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Me neither.
We should go.
And I like movies.
Want to go see a movie?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's go see a movie.
But I like movies, and I haven't been because it's so much goddamn easier to
Carly does not like to go see movies.
Oh, I love
She
movies.
doesn't like the theater.
I like, so here's the thing. I like movie experience. I like the theater, but I have a fucking 4K monitor.
Right.
And headphones with fucking 7.1 surround sound and popcorn.
Yeah.
And
beers.
All I have to do is fucking load up my Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if I need to piss, I can pause it. Like, obviously the theater experience is better. Like, I love...
Yeah, you'd piss in the cup.
I've seen every Star Wars movie since Disney bought it in the theater.
Yeah.
But but I watch all the shows on fucking Disney Plus in my room at night.
Yeah.
And I still get, more or less the same experience, right? Like,
yeah, I've been watching movies on my iPad, and I have like the 10 and a half inch iPad Pro, which is a really high quality screen.
you probably
And then I use my earbuds, which have like the Pixel Pro earbuds, like the newest generation.
You're the person that movie makers hate.
But it's like it's a high quality picture, and the sound is really good through the headphones. Like it's pretty good.
You probably haven't seen it, but there's this David Lynch quote or video of him, because David Lynch makes fucking like cerebral movies that like don't make any fucking sense, like just fucking but he's very like a purist of film,
Right.
and there's this video of him just freaking out with this interviewer where he's like, they think they're watching a movie when they watch it on their fucking phone.
Yeah.
It's just so
I can get
it's
I
so
get
funny.
phone.
Yeah.
I like my little sister, she watches Netflix on her phone all the time.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I don't.
I don't get it.
I
But
can't
like,
even do it on like I can't like I have a tablet. I would never watch
Right.
Netflix on my tablet. I
But,
fucking throw
like,
it on the computer.
right, but like I not that I'm gonna fucking plug Apple, but like the screen is fucking incredible.
Tim Apple paid for this
Yeah,
video.
thanks Tim Apple. But if you compare, like, if I compare like me holding my iPad and watching the movie to in reference to my TV in front of me from the couch, it's about the same size.
Okay, all right.
Like you're seeing,
I'll accept
you're
that.
seeing it as close, and the resolution is about the same.
But so here's my thing because I respect a lot of these, like people like Tarantino are like, I'm gonna still film on film.
Yeah.
Because you can go fuck yourself, and
Not to say I wouldn't rather see a 500-inch screen, super high def with
but-
like surround sound.
But like a lot of filmmakers that I respect are like, I don't film digital even.
Yeah.
Because film looks better and I want it to be authentic. And but as a businessman myself, it's like you can't hold on to, like I always tell people this. I say this on the podcast all the time too. It's like if you have a bad idea that you just like, right? Keeping on it, like it's not going to work as a business, right? And having all these caveats where you're like, no, it needs to be in a theater, it needs to be on film, and you're making it more difficult for the customer, which at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. I do personally consider film art. I do. But
in art, the end user is relevant.
It's a commodity, right? And the customer is the person buying your fucking movie, or now more relevantly, buying your subscription to your streaming service, right? And the people, you're not keeping them in mind. Like for example, I just noticed a couple of these new Disney Pixar movies are theater only,
right?
And they're bombing.
Yes. Yeah, it's
like
that's almost a turnoff for people.
They're expecting $1 billion. Like $1 billion is what you got to make in an opening weekend now.
Yeah.
To
break even.
Well, not what
to make it to make it worth it.
To make it worth it. Like all the Marvel movies, all the Star Wars movies. That's what you're trying to do. Is Disney. I want to talk about more about Disney in a sec because they just they fired their board and got a new CEO and everything.
They got their old CEO actually.
Yes, and I love fucking Bob Iger a lot. So I think this is a good. Anyway, but I want to talk about that in a second. But they were releasing Star Wars movies, and they're making $1 billion, a year, or every release. And then there was some controversy because a lot of people were saying like they went woke because they put a lot of like leftist, and there was a purple-haired woman in character in one of the movies, and then there was also some background. It was a whole they had J.J. Abrams to do 3 movies, but they fired him midway and had Rian Johnson to come do the second movie, and it was a whole thing. So a lot of people protested seeing Solo when it came out, and also there was some controversy with because they had to cast another person to play young Harrison Ford because obviously fucking Harrison Ford is 90 years old, right? Well, whatever. I can talk about Star Wars controversy forever, but they only made like $600 million on Solo. They canceled like 10 films in development and just said, nope, we're not doing movies anymore. And now they just do TV shows.
Right.
And then COVID put the nail in the coffin, obviously.
Right.
This was like 2018.
Extended series honestly make a lot more sense.
It's a better way to tell a story.
Yeah.
And now they're doing these limited series where they're saying 8 episodes.
Right.
Or 16 episodes or 20 episodes, whatever it is.
And there's no season 2.
Or there's no, or there are 2 seasons or 1
Right.
season, and that's it. And that's how they're telling the story now, which I think for art's sake, I think is better, honestly.
Yeah, like I watched the Midnight Club, 8 episodes, start to finish, and it had like kind of like a cliffhanger, unsatisfying ending. And it's like, and that's it. They're never gonna make more. And that's just it. Like it was an 8-part, 1 hour each episode, whatever series, and they're just like, it's done. Which it would have been a fucking 8-hour movie.
Exactly. And people can't do 8-hour movies. Like Tarantino, when he made Kill Bill, he made it as 1 movie.
Yeah.
And the studio was like, no. And he's like, no, like I have clout, like,
Yeah.
and they're like, we will not. No, like the studio was like, okay, maybe we'll go to bat for you. But then all the theaters were like, no.
How long was it?
It would have been 6 hours,
Jeez.
maybe 6.5. So he cut it into two movies.
Right.
So that's why it's Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 now.
Right.
But he was, and if you even talk to him,
Still salty.
no, he's not even salty. He considers it 1 movie.
Right.
Because he's always talking about I think he may have changed this now. I think he has a movie coming out that we don't know about because I just recently he started doing the podcast circuit,
Okay.
but he has nothing to promote.
Right.
And it's like, why would your PR team start booking you for podcasts? Like he was on Tom Segura's podcast like this week, and I start seeing him on my like TikTok, and I'm like, why are you promoting yourself if you don't have anything coming out? So I think
He's got
does.
something
I
big
think
coming
he's
About to announce something.
I think he's about to announce something, yeah, and he's trying to get back in people's minds. But he's been saying for a while he wants to do 10 movies and then quit
Right.
and go out on top. He wants to have 10 movies that are good or great,
Great. Yeah.
and then go out on top and never make a movie again. I don't know if he's stick to that because I think people have asked him after, like more recently, and he's like, well, whatever. But if you hear him talk, he's like, because like The Hateful Eight was his 8th movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
But I think it was his 9th movie technically, but he
Right.
considers Kill Bill 1 movie.
Right.
So it's like his 8th, because like, it's your 9th movie. He's like, no, it's not. Kill Bill's 1 movie.
So the rumor is movie 10's coming out.
Because he did, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was his 9th, and then
Right.
10 would be his last. But then he said on Tom Segura's podcast, just like this week, he's written a TV show, like a limited
Okay.
series. He's written like 10 episodes of a TV show.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah. And if you know anything about how Tarantino's mind works, it's like that's like he writes so much. Like he'll write 50-page backstories of every character that the audience never gets to know.
Right. That's
But
part of his process.
But he wants the actor to know.
Right. And it shows.
So like the example Brad Pitt's character in Inglourious Basterds.
Did he make Django?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Django Unchained, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking love Django.
Yeah, great. Because he loves westerns.
Yeah.
So Hateful Eight and Django Unchained are both
Yeah.
westerns.
I got
obviously.
like when I saw Hateful Eight, like I could not talk about it enough. Like
It's
I
great,
don't know,
yeah.
and it was one of those movies that just caught me in the right way at the right time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm pretty sure I watched it alone, which
Yeah.
is often my favorite way to watch a movie.
Yeah, me too.
So I caught the movie alone.
Girls can watch movies with me, but if they touch me, I'm like, watch the fucking movie.
Literally, Carly can. Yeah, she's so fucking mad sometimes. She's like kissing my neck, and so I'm like, fuck out of here. Like I'm watching the show, and like
too,
it
yeah.
can be a terrible movie
Me
that
too.
I'm like feeling I'm not enjoying so much that I can't look away.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so bad that I
feel
can't look away. She's like bored as fuck, and I'm like, get off.
me
Um,
too.
Anyways, Hateful Eight caught me in such a like I was not expecting a Quentin Tarantino movie. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, Hateful Eight, whatever,
Oh, yeah,
nice
'cause
movie,
it's-
whatever, and I put it on.
It's fun. Like there's
And
some
like
fucking
it sucked me in. Like within
Yeah.
20 minutes, I
Oh,
was
yeah,
in it.
it's
And
great,
then like most of the movie takes place inside a single room.
yeah.
And yeah, it blew my fucking mind. I
Yeah.
loved it, and just the violence that
Yeah.
explodes. It's
The
just
violence
I
is
love
so
it.
good. The fucking
Because the violence
Kurt
on,
Russell's so fucking good in that movie.
like there's way more violence on like the Avengers and stuff like that. But
but it's not. Yeah,
it doesn't compare.
Yeah.
'Cause it desensitizes you.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. You know what's funny is that like I would consider that movie like a 4 out of 5, or maybe even a 4.5 out of 5,
Yeah.
and it's not even in Tarantino's top 5 for me,
Yeah.
which is hilarious. Like that's just
I
like,
gotta watch Kill Bill.
that's just justification to why he's such a good filmmaker.
Yeah.
Is every movie I wouldn't rate below a 4. I want to say, like, even like, I know people hate Death Proof. I think it's a pretty good fucking movie. You'd love Death Proof. It's like an hour 45.
Yeah.
An hour of it is a car chase. And it's
Nice.
I don't know if
I think I know the context of the movie because of the car chase.
do you know who Zoe Bell is? She's
Yes?
a stunt woman from New
Right,
Zealand.
Okay, yeah.
And she's really famous stunt woman. So she's the star of that movie, and they have her strapped to the front of a like Dodge Dart or a fucking Challenger or whatever, like one of these like 60s car, 70s cars.
What's the movie called again?
Death Proof. Kurt Russell, Zoe Bell.
Yeah.
So that's real. They were going 150 kilometers an hour. Like 100 miles an hour with her strapped to the front of a fucking car.
Yeah.
That's all real. That's
Yeah.
that's real stunts. They were like no safety. She just did. And between
She's just literally tied
Quentin
to the
and
car.
her, we're like, yeah, we're going to do it. And everyone's like, and they're like, yeah, we're going to fucking do it. And no, it's fucked. All the destruction, all the cars, that's all real.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good as a movie. And because like,
I'm gonna binge Tarantino.
yeah. And people, that's like the one that people always say they hate of
Right.
his. I think it's fine. Like, it's great. Like, I think it's still a 4.
Yeah.
The other one people hate is Jackie Brown, but I think Jackie Brown's fucking great. Underrated, I think. And the other one that's not a Tarantino movie, but it is From Dawn Till Dusk. That's like a bonus if you're listening. Here's the film Willows difference. From Dawn Till Dusk is a so it's Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney, and they played brothers. So he wrote it, but I think Robert Rodriguez directed it. So it's not really a Tarantino movie, but Tarantino wrote it or co-wrote it or something, and he stars in it. So spoiler, skip 20 seconds in the video if you don't want to hear but it came out 30 years ago. But it's a crime drama of George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino kidnapping a girl, and George Clooney's like all about the business and the money, but then Quentin's kind of like, I want to rape this girl kind of thing, and like goes off the handle and shoots people, like whatever. And they're trying to escape to Mexico to like whatever. So it's a crime drama for like the first half of the movie. And then the sun goes down and all the patrons in the bar in Mexico turn into vampires.
Oh.
And then it's a vampire killing movie.
That's that's cool.
For
That's cool. I like the sound of that.
for the other half.
Yeah.
And it's
That's awesome.
fucking ridiculous because I knew what it was going into it because I watched it way later, but apparently when he put it in theaters, they didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And you were like, what is going on? Like,
It blew your fucking mind. I love that premise.
Yeah. So
What's it called again?
From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fucking fantastic. I really like that too, but people are like, fuck this movie. But I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. If you want to hear more about my movie tastes, follow me on Letterboxd. Vote Willows on Letterboxd. We can connect. We can rate movies together.
So what? Sorry, I'm just thinking of another movie that I watched relatively recent. Four Brothers.
Yeah. It's fine.
I quite enjoyed it for a lot of reasons.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I know.
Isn't it based in Cleveland?
Yeah. No, Chicago, I think.
Right, Chicago, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I enjoyed it a lot because it was recently after I had spent a couple months in Cleveland, and I saw like Chicago, Cleveland in the space or in the neighborhoods that they were playing.
I just remember where
It's
they're
all
like.
basically the same.
I remember when they're like in a school assembly and he whips out a gun.
Right, yeah.
I haven't seen it in like probably a decade, but
yeah, I was
That's good.
doing like a side job, so I was working evenings and weekends at this guy's house, and he was like, the type of person that just gives me fucking anxiety to like be around. Like, I don't know what it's like inside your head, but it looks like hell. So it's like
Wait, who is this?
just a random client.
Oh, I don't know this guy.
And so I think he's got like money from his parents, but like this guy does not work. And he was like talking about paying for his renovation if quote unquote Bitcoin comes back up.
Mood.
And
me with half my net worth in Bitcoin.
yeah, and he's got this like shit house that's got one of the worst backyards that I've ever seen. Like, it's got a nice pool, but it's so badly taken care of, and it's like falling apart.
In ground or above ground?
In ground.
Okay.
And reeks of dog piss.
Yeah,
Like, just everywhere reeks of dog piss, and like the chairs are falling apart. It's like he had a
gotta call Poo Crew.
It's like he had a rager of a party 6 months ago and
Yeah.
never cleaned up, and then let his dog piss on everything.
Yeah.
And then the interior of the house, immaculate. Looks amazing. And then you go like up the stairs and there's like a hole in the drywall. And then the bathroom is so dirty that like you don't want to touch anything. And his bedroom is just fucking insane. But like you go in the living room and it's pristine and clean and like new renovated, like ready for a party. It just chaotic. And then this guy comes home and he's coming out of a K-hole and is like chugging coffee. Sits on his
do
couch.
People do ketamine still?
Yeah, like sits on his couch, and he's like, "I just came off of like a 42-hour bender," and like
Ketamine will do that for you.
started with drinking,
Yeah.
and then went hard all night, partied, went to a club, and then to deal with the hangover, kept drinking, took acid,
Okay. I wouldn't recommend being blackout drunk and taking acid, but
went
okay.
to thermia.
Yeah, as one does. That's a spa if you're listening.
It's like an immersive Nordic spa. Where you cannot like talk, take pictures, whatever. It's like supposed to be plastic.
Well, you can do whatever you want.
Right. On acid.
Yep.
Or sorry, no. Molly. Shitload of Molly.
Okay, very different drug.
Yeah. So sitting in the spa, cranked on Molly, also drunk.
Sounds like my life.
Is there for 6 hours.
As one does.
Gets like so many warnings. Eventually gets and then they went to the bar, got drunk, get kicked out.
Yeah, as one does.
And then goes back to the bar, hits the nightclub after the bar, comes back home, parties, takes ketamine, and then stays up all night. And then I think his buddy like wanted to like do coke or something like that. And then they went and got food, and then he came back, and then I was at his house. So that's the point that he was at. And he had like his TV was playing like YouTube videos, and then it was like TMZ videos, and then it was music videos, and then it was like he's watching Four Brothers, and then he fucking ranted in my face for like 20 minutes of how this is the greatest movie of all time. And then he was on his phone fucking like swiping on Tinder and watching porn. And then he switched to like the Avengers on TV, watched 20 minutes of it, and then switched back to another movie. And I was like, and I'm just like in the same room as him, and I'm like, this is like a lot. Like the guy kept trying to talk to me. I just had my headphones in. I'm like, I'm putting noise canceling on. Like I'm just trying to do my fucking job. Like
Get out of here.
It was one of the worst jobs I've ever been. Just like mentally, I was like, I can't fucking deal with everything that's happening here. And it was really, really difficult. That was my introduction to Four Brothers. So I went home. It was intrigued enough that I went home that night and I watched the movie and I'm like, oh, this is a fun, good movie, man.
Pretty good. Yeah,
that's pretty good. That's
yeah,
pretty good. I like Mark Wahlberg.
Me too. Yeah.
But like,
I really like his political stances too.
Yeah, it just gave me like, man, you would not believe
That was a joke, by the way.
I don't know anything about his politics.
He beat the shit out of an Asian guy on the street.
Do you deserve it?
But no, like because he was Asian. Because he was like didn't want Asians in New York or something.
Honestly, that tracks for Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
that sounds like something he would do.
Yeah, he did it. Yeah,
that's completely.
He's been like convicted, like he did it.
Yeah, that's like completely in line with his characters in his movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So
except in the movie Ted.
Yeah, not surprising at all. But anyways,
anyway,
like,
we're gonna
yeah, fucking movies, man. I love.
We're gonna take another
movies.
shot here because it's policy on the show. If you weren't aware that if we take a shot that's under 40%, we have to take another second shot.
Even if it's only by a couple percent.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. 39.5%. We gotta take a second one.
Yeah, that's a bit shot.
So we're gonna finish up the podcast here. So I'm trying to. We're gonna experiment. Tyler just does whatever I say. So I'm going to experiment here with some, we're going to kind of switch up so we used to do, or we usually do the we give you a kind of business tip. So I kind of want to keep that around, but I also, we had some new listeners recently that are kind of like giving me constructive feedback where they're like, okay, well, the theme of the podcast is like you debate business topics sober and drunk, right? And
we'd completely lose the thread throughout the podcast.
we kind of lose the thread. So what we used to do, like if you watch, I don't recommend watching the first 30 episodes, but if you'd have to, is before we bought microphones, we were just filming on the phone.
Yeah.
If you have to watch those earlier videos, what we used to do was like pick a topic and then actually talk about it.
Yeah.
And we'd go off the rails, but then we'd come back to the topic. So I want to kind of meet these two things in the middle where like, so what I want to say right now as we're kind of finishing up, is there anything that we talked about today that you've now had a couple shots and you're kind of like changing your mind on? Or not even mind, but like the way you approach what we were talking about.
So I think maybe the common thread, at least when we started, was like Balenciaga and Kanye and Apple and bad press.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say bad press, I think is... I'm just going to get right into it. So
yeah, please.
Bad press is one thing.
Yeah.
And like, let me ask you this. How would you define bad press?
Good question. I would think the press being... Okay, so I'll give you a relevant retort here.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the World Cup is happening.
Right.
It's like a game where you kick, there's a ball, whatever.
Yeah, the ball screams.
So, it's in Qatar, which is a Muslim country.
Yeah, no oil state.
Yeah, and they... this is irrelevant to what I'm going to say, but they 2 days before the fucking tournament happened, they banned alcohol, even though they had accepted it before.
Well, they already banned alcohol, but they had a temporary exemption.
But Budweiser had already sponsored $160 million of alcohol, and they banned it 2 days later, pulled the rug on everyone. But you could still drink it if you were rich. If you were in a box, you're allowed to drink alcohol.
Right.
So whatever. That's the whole thing. So,
which is a through line that everyone understands.
So so I don't know if you saw part of the World Cup logo.
Mm-hmm.
They redesigned to be a rainbow flag.
Okay.
Okay. They're not allowed to fly this one in Qatar.
Right.
Right. Because being gay is illegal. Right. But somebody showed up to the game in that logo on their shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And they turn on their cell phone because security starts kicking them out. It's like, no, you can't come in here. You need to change your shirt. And they didn't, like, to their credit, they didn't say, because I think if you're homosexual in Qatar as a citizen, they can kill you.
Right.
They can, like, literally kill you. But for tourists, you have kind of a different laws. You need to, like, because Russia, like, Brittany Garner, Russia, you break their laws, you get the same punishment.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of the Middle East, it's like if you're a tourist and you break their laws, they're like, okay, don't do it again.
Right.
Because like Dubai, you're allowed to drink alcohol if you're not Muslim.
Right.
But they just don't want you doing it in public, right? Or if you're like wearing shorts, they'll be like, hey, can you not wear shorts? Like they're not gonna. But like Russia, if you break one of their laws, they don't give a fuck who you are.
Yeah, don't fuck around in Russia.
Don't fuck around, right? But because a lot of the Middle East, especially the like United Arab Emirates and Qatar, the rich countries, they're trying to keep tourists.
It was destroying their economy. Like you can't even have like businessmen from other countries come in because like business is done over drinks.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the world, and then if you're like you can't drink here,
well,
business doesn't get done.
Have you met a CEO that makes over $1 million a year that hasn't had sex with a man before? Like I think homosexuality is kind of like part of business, right? I'm kind of kidding. Like I'm half kidding.
I'm thinking about it, and I don't think you're entirely wrong.
You know, I think because anyone who has like the mental acuity to get that far in life is like kind of fluid in how they do everything.
Yeah, sexuality's not like a fucking red line for them.
Yeah, because nothing is. Because you need to be fluid to make money.
Morality is fluid.
Is bendable, so therefore... Right, okay.
Yeah, therefore now you qualify to work in the CIA.
Okay. One
of the qualifications of working in the CIA is your idea of morality needs to be flexible.
You need to have sucked 5 dicks.
That's a parallel. I'm not saying
Right.
that the
Causation.
I'm not saying that the gays don't have morals.
Causation.
But if there's smoke, there's fire.
Okay. So this guy walks into the Qatar soccer game.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a gay shirt, and they say, "Sir, you have to go home and change your shirt."
Yeah.
Okay. So that got really big. Like,
oh, that actually
There was
explains
a-
a lot. The guy that streaked across the field yesterday wearing the shirt with the rainbow flag on it.
yeah. So that there was a lot of press about that.
Yeah.
So here's my thing.
That's
Is that-
that's
no.
not bad press though.
Here's what I'm saying. Is that in America it was maybe okay. In Canada, it was bad press. Look at this fucking country that's, holding
Right.
out gay imagery, right? But in the Middle East, it was good press.
Right.
Right? So you asked me what I consider bad press. I think it depends on your audience, right?
Right.
Because the same way that we were talking earlier about Joe Rogan said the N-word and you got more viewers, right?
Yeah.
I guess bad press, in quotations, depends on who you're trying to attract as your customer,
Yeah.
right? So
Because something polarizing is going to be attractive to so and so many people.
yes, exactly. So what do we consider bad press? Like I guess like in the West we kind of have this like this is what you can do morally kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? Let's not do honor killings. But
Yeah.
then America has there's a lot of homophobic, whatever. So like
But we at least draw the line at like femicide, at least recently.
but now we're killing babies.
That's fine though.
Unborn babies they can fucking kill in the millions.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah, it is. It's totally fine. Yeah.
So,
In fact, I killed one this morning.
let's talk off camera. So my point being, like, what do you consider bad press? I guess it's depending on who you're trying to appeal to,
Yeah.
right? Well, for a good example, I'm in the liquor business, right? Is every article written about me bad because Muslims don't drink alcohol?
Right.
So I'm haram. So is just talking about my business being haram, is that negative attention? Is that negative press?
Right.
Depends on who you're talking to, right?
See, when I asked the question, I was thinking about like, okay, what about like press about some like bad press being projecting the part of your image that you don't want people to see. That's how I would define it.
So like almost okay, that's yeah.
The part of your identity that you don't want to identify, well, like that you
Or
don't
your
want to
brand
be
is
real. The part of your brand that you don't want to be real, like the fact that Apple is such a valuable company and makes profits, due to exploitative
sweatshops and
sweatshops, exploitative business practices.
Coca-Cola hiring militia leaders to kill union.
Right.
Right.
So like that is completely one of the biggest contributors to their success, but it's not the brand that they want to portray. So bad
okay.
press would be contrary to the brand that you want.
Sure.
So
But
and the idea is that even if it's exactly the opposite of what you want, it's still not bad for you.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that anytime your name is if journalists really wanted to fucking silence you, they wouldn't publish the story at all.
Right.
And
Exactly.
we talk about it.
The
Ironically,
truly bad press is the silence.
Ironically, the first person I ever heard do the thing I'm about to say is Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people do it now. Just none of CNN doesn't, whatever. But don't name the school shooters.
Well, I think that's pretty ubiquitous, actually.
CNN and fucking Fox don't. Neither of them do it. They name those fucking guys. They put pictures of them, especially if they're white. They fucking put pictures of them.
Right.
No, but Daily Wire, I know like Philip DeFranco does it. Like there's Al Jazeera, I think. Like they just don't. If you shoot up a school, they don't name you. They say some piece of shit,
Yeah.
unidentified piece of shit shot up the school,
Yeah.
and they don't say who you are because half the reason people do it is because of attention, right?
Yeah.
So they're starting to learn that it's like, why did you really think Balenciaga, I don't know what their governance looks like, but like, you really think these fucking people put this in the hands of a child and say, no one's ever going to tweet about this. No one's ever going to fucking talk about this. But how many tweets go out about this? They get Balenciaga trending.
Yeah.
How many people then are going to go on the Balenciaga and see a shirt and be like, oh, Kanye wore that. Like, whoever wore that. I like that.
like,
and they're going to buy one. Like,
literally, when I was looking for the story,
yeah.
the first handful of things that popped up in Google had everything to do with a new Balenciaga Adidas collab. And like a bunch of nice looking clothing, and I was like, "Oh, this looks nice." And I was like, I literally got pulled into that.
So if you were in the market for something like that, you wanted to buy a Balenciaga hoodie, or you wanted to buy a hoodie, you were going to buy a Gucci hoodie next week,
right?
And then you were Google. We did this podcast, and you had to Google about Balenciaga, and you saw a better hoodie.
Yeah,
you may have bought that hoodie, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. So I think like relevance, especially in 2022, is as important as like you need to stay in the public eye.
Yeah, but also like getting caught with your pants down of like doing absolutely heinous things and then profiting from that is like that's fucking gross too.
Okay, but so here's where I am is like, is it heinous though?
Violating human rights to gain a profit?
No,
yes.
no. This is having a fully dressed child hold.
Okay, I wasn't talking about Balenciaga. I was thinking about Apple.
Apple's. Isn't it interesting where we draw the line?
Yeah. Yeah, it is actually.
You were just talking about your fucking your iPad being a movie fucking thing. That's fine, and you know they have human rights violations, but you don't give a shit.
I do give a shit, but it's like
obviously not. Vote with your dollars, right?
I bought it used. I didn't give Apple my money.
Thanks.
I bought it like.
I guess it's like a vegan buying a leather shirt from a thrift store.
Yeah,
it's already been you know.
It's already been dead. Somebody else paid for the murder. And I can just pay for the carcass. So, do you think your opinion on the all press is good press has changed now that you've had some alcohol in you? No. I think, well, from what perspective? Like, is it effective? Yes. Will it get you more money? Probably.
And that's their entire goal.
Morally, am I opposed to it? Yes. Because doing awful, heinous shit and hurting people in order to get attention, then to just profit more, because that's just how fucking psychology works. Like, if you make, because there are people out there that make this a way of life and the way to make a living, and it's like how we do marketing, it's how we make money. It's like
outrage marketing, they call it.
I piss people, not just outrage marketing. Like, I'm fine with, like, if it's like,
I think I know what you're saying.
If it's moral questions, if it's offending
outrage
people, whatever.
Marketing is fine, but don't punch someone in the Jesse Smollett.
Yeah,
I guess that was a lie too. That didn't actually happen. He didn't actually. Jesse Smollett said that people beat the shit out of him for being black.
Right.
And it was a whole lie.
Right. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
But I guess nothing actually happened. He didn't actually hurt anybody.
Yeah.
He just lied. So I'll rescind that. But like, if there's I can't even think of an. Most people don't go out and commit a hate crime to get people to talk about them.
No, that's why it's bad press, because like they didn't intend to get press for it.
Yeah.
But they're going to profit from it.
That happened in Winnipeg. In our city, there was a Jewish restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Right?
That claimed
That
anti-Semitism.
spray painted swastikas on the side of their building.
Yeah. Fuck, I forgot about this.
Yeah, and got a bunch of press, like, holy shit, Nazis are attacking these Jews. And this was right after the Jan 6 thing.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of business, and then it came out that they spray painted it themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know how we found out.
Well, because I'm assuming probably like the insurance company found out or something.
Someone investigated it. Well, you had to make a police report and all this. So when the police investigated, or the insurance company investigated, they found out that they actually did it themselves. Maybe security camera from across the street. You know, name a thing. And now they're out of business, thank God. And apparently 2 of them fled, like went back to Israel, and because they were going to be charged here for fraud.
Yeah.
And they just left. But the whole story came out, and it was like, they had a failing restaurant. They faked a anti-Semitic attack against them to get press.
Yeah.
And then it came out that it was not an anti-Semitic attack.
So it's only good to get bad press if it's real.
If it's real and you didn't do it.
So if they were, let's say, Ukrainian and they were anti-Semitic Jews,
it
would be fine.
I've been I'm about to say something anti-Ukrainian government, but I'll preface it with saying my heart is out for the Ukrainian people because
There's victims in all the wars,
my-
and it's fucking horrible.
my mother's family is from Ukraine, and like I have a baba, my great grandmother. I call her my baba. She was a Ukrainian immigrant. Like I have a heart for the Ukrainian people. My cousin Jay's a Ukrainian Catholic priest. For God's sake, like I have a love for the Ukrainian people. And that's why I'm even more against this war, because it's literally NATO using them as a proxy to fight Russia. This is the United States manipulating them. And I don't like, I'm open to civil debate if you want to talk to me about this.
Yeah.
But these people are being fucking abused.
Yeah.
For the US's empire, like, you know, extending. So when I say bad things about this Ukraine conflict, that's the context. Like, so I've actually recently had a ton, like, influx, I guess wouldn't make sense. I've had an influx of Ukrainian customers buying my wine. Had a bunch come in at the event the trade show I was in this weekend. Met a bunch of them. Had a few come in the bar. This one woman came in the bar, just such a charming experience. She was like asking me about wine. She's like, yeah, I just Googled wines and you were the closest one to me. And like, so she's talking to me about different wines. She's like telling me about wines from back home. And she's like, she's a refugee, not even an immigrant. Like she was like displaced, like, you know, Crimea blew up and she has to, you know, they placed her here. And it's like, why come to Winnipeg? She's like, I didn't get to choose. Yeah. They just throw me somewhere. It's like, okay.
Fun fact, the average refugee that gets displaced takes 19, this is the average, takes 19 years to resettle.
Wow. Which is like
that's how long
I'm not going to live.
That's how long their living situation is fluid.
Yeah. Wow.
19 years.
So anyway, I have this woman in my bar just buying wine, and she's just like, because she likes wine, she's telling me about wine from back home, and she's like asking me about my operation, all this, right? And I just
and for reference, we have very similar climate to parts of Ukraine.
Yeah. So what I remember though is she paid me in cash, so I give her change. So it was like you know, $36. She gave me $40. So I give her, you know, whatever it was in change. And she's just looking at the change, looking at me, looking at the change, looking at me, and she starts like picking up because it was a toonie. It was a toonie, a loonie, a quarter, and whatever. And she's like looking at the toonie. And I'm like, that's $2. And she's like, because this was before, because she came in, bought wine, gave me money, I give her change. This is before the conversation.
Yeah.
And then this is what sparked the conversation. She's looking at this toonie because it kind of looks fake. Google what a Canadian toonie looks like. It's like two different colors. It's kind of
it's two different metals.
She's looking at it, and it's also an alphabet she's not familiar with.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, yeah, it's $2. She's like, okay, and picks up the loonie. She's like, and this one is like $1. She's like, okay, and like, and just she's like, why is the dime smaller than the nickel? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is. But she was just like looking at these toonies and was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on right now.
Yeah.
And then was like, can you actually break this up so I can use it for bus fare? And like, what it was just like, it was just the and she was like on foot with a backpack taking public transit, but it's like she stopped in, and then I saw her again the next week, came back and bought some more wine, which is like you know, it makes me feel good obviously, but it was like, it's interesting. And then I met these people at this trade show on the weekend when I was in Brandon, and only one of them spoke English, and it wasn't good English. It was like I had to ask a few times, like, I'm sorry, what are you trying to say? Yeah. But the other three with him didn't speak a fucking word. Yeah. So they were speaking in Ukrainian or Russian to him, and he was translating to me. But I just thought that was interesting. It's like you ended up in fucking Brandon, Manitoba. Yeah. Like from wherever you were in Ukraine. And it's just like, it's interesting because I don't know. It's like, I just like meeting new cultures, and I like
the hugeness of the world hits you in the face
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like, Jesus Christ, right? But it's like these people are, and they're wearing fucking hoodies and Nikes
Yeah,
and
the
shit.
normal ass people.
know,
It's a
it's just
fairly
no-
westernized culture there.
It's normal ass fucking country, and their power supply is getting bombed for no reason,
Yeah.
right? Like I hate every time I'm like,
Hashtag thanks Obama.
well, every time I'm like, I don't think Putin is this evil dictator like Hitler was. I don't think
Putin does not equal Hitler.
I get pushback on that,
Right.
where it's like,
Objectively, you're right.
dude, I'm like, Zelensky is this fucking Zionist, Nazi-enabling capitalist that's like trying to get favor with NATO. Like, none of them are good. I can hate both of them.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like, yeah.
Just to add a cherry on top of that, two quick things. So for the last 5 years, the Pentagon it's a new idea. They've been auditing the Pentagon.
Who?
The government.
Why?
Like Congress. I don't know who.
Seems sus.
Secretary of Treasury. I don't know. But they're auditing the Pentagon to be like, hey, so we're giving you like a lot of money, but we're not like checking back on like where you spent it. This sounds basic, but it's true. So they're like, we write you all these checks, but we don't check on where it goes. And what do we get for our money? So like that's the audit process. So they started auditing like 5 years ago. Fucking revolutionary. Wow. As if we should know where our money goes.
I don't think we should.
Their best score to date was 2022. Of the $3.7 trillion on their balance sheet, they could account for 39%. That was the record best.
Do you know if I don't account for 100% of my money, I go to jail?
Other 60.3%.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Of $3.7 trillion.
Terrorists blew it up.
And keep in mind, we have like battleships and like
True.
aircraft carriers. Like those are
You sunk my battleship.
Those are on the balance sheet.
Word.
And they can't account for 60% of it.
Yep.
Point number 2.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are talking about like this SBF laundering money through Ukraine, blah, 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 bullshit.
Yeah.
Of like, grand total of all the money that he's given to the Democratic Party is like $200 million. My reaction to it was like, okay, so what? It's a fucking drop in the bucket. It doesn't fucking matter. Like that's an unsubstantial amount of money.
I actually changed my opinion after you talked to me about it, because I was like, oh, this is kind of sus that he's like the second highest individual donor to the Democratic Party, and he's also like all this money's missing. Like this is kind of coincidental. And then you talked to me about like what the actual numbers in relative terms to like how much, and it's like, okay, yeah, I don't know.
So currently, this I read yesterday, there is $20.8 billion of arms unaccounted for
in Ukraine.
Yeah,
I saw them
that have been shipped to Ukraine that cannot be accounted for in country.
You see these screenshots of the dark web? They're selling fucking javelin missiles for $5,000. Like, yeah,
$20.8 billion. Like, this is the CIA. Like, this is like, I don't know. This is my tinfoil hat opinion, not tinfoil hat opinion. This is actually completely rational. The CIA is just well known for they skim off the top, they sell it on the black market to fill the coffers to supply whatever places. Like, it's just that
we proved that with the Contras, right? They were
Right.
selling drugs to make money to buy guns. Like,
right. It's just that again, except now they just got this insane influx of guns and cash and money. So they're like, yeah, let's just like siphon some of this off to like some of the revolutionaries that we want to back.
Yeah.
So it's just it's that level, and then like you're yelling. The conservatives are yelling about SBF. Meanwhile, like for $200 million. Meanwhile, there's 20.8 billion that can be proved on a balance sheet is missing,
and no one gives a shit about
the
that.
entirety of the SBF thing is conjecture. None of it is proven.
Yeah,
there's no actual financial trails, and even if it was proved, none of it would be illegal.
Well,
no.
If he was actively trying to take money out of the corporation, that's a breach of fiduciary duty, and that's illegal.
Right, but maybe it's a breach of, but it's not a violation of, it's not a money laundering crime. It's not a political crime.
If you donated money he didn't have because the company was bad, no way. Yeah, you were open for civil liability to your investors.
Right, but it's got nothing to do with a political, like, crime in politics. It's not. It's not a money laundering crime.
Giving billions of dollars to politicians is never a crime.
Right. That was the accusation. It was laundering cash. Right.
Which is, they don't need to launder cash. They can just pay it to themselves.
They can just print it
and right in front of you. And you won't do anything.
Yeah, because it's legal. They legalized it.
There
is no corruption. There is no bribery because it's legal.
So I think my point, I can't actually remember. Every time I edit these videos, I'm like, "Fuck you, idiot!"
Yeah,
but I think my point was with the Ukraine thing, is that Ukraine doing whatever is good press, because we were talking about that is good press. But then like some people think it's bad press. You know what I mean?
They just need to stay relevant.
Because they need their money coming in.
Yeah.
So I guess that's an interesting point that we're talking about, is like, what is the definition of good press versus bad press? And I think you had it on the head there, where you said it was the opposite of the narrative that your company specifically is trying to paint.
Yeah.
Is bad press.
So you would define it as bad press because it's not what you want.
Because for the most part, every time someone tweets about me, I'm happy.
Right, yeah. But for the most part, when people are trying to promote their brand, they've got a specific plan.
Yeah.
But for some people they're just like, oh, my brand was mentioned by whatever, in whatever context, right?
Well, more something like Balenciaga, I think the more tweets, the better.
Yeah.
I think because, you know what, that article that says they're fucking posting child porn is going to be their logo on a hoodie.
Right.
In the picture. And then people are going to be like, oh, that's kind of lit, actually.
Right.
Like, I think especially for a fashion brand, I think you're clear with that.
I mean, they already do child slavery. Like,
what's one more step?
Yeah, what's one more?
What's raping the child? You don't think these Bangladeshi children are getting raped by fucking... That's allegedly, sorry, that was
hot take.
That was going down a dark path.
That's not... Actually, it's not that... It's not that spicy of a take, because that's just kind of what the fashion industry is known for.
Anyway, well, we're going to end this
here. Maybe more Shein than Balenciaga, but...
We're going to end this here. Thank you for listening to episode 94 of the podcast. You can follow us if you dare. You'll find it.
Yeah,
you're smart, I believe.
You can follow me in... I'm from Graphicstan in the former Soviet Union.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.